So, since I haven't done a video like this in a while, I figured I'd do it now, because it is Sunday, October 13th at 6:53 p.m., and I figured the last video I did like this, that was like me talking about something, or just in general, was actually quite a long time ago. So yeah. Some things I don't understand. One thing I don't understand is why people put a lot of effort into doing, like talking about certain things that don't really affect them right away. So an example would be there were a lot of student protests last year. Not as many this year, which I found to be kind of strange. I expected kind of the same amount, but. Yeah. But I guess not. Yeah, so a lot of student protests, and for a cause that a lot of people care a lot about. And I think it's great that people can do that, and they can protest as much as they want. I'm not a huge fan of, like, taking spaces over. And that might be, what would you call that? Hypocritical, considering the nature of my skin tone and the amount of sit-ins that a lot of other black people have done in history to get integration passed or whatever. So there might be some hypocrisy there. Maybe, I don't really know. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. I just feel like there's better ways to get your message across. Also, I'm not a big ass fan of vandalism. I only like vandalism if it's done on trains and it's got cool colors and artwork. That's pretty much it. I'm also very intrigued because I feel like that's not all gang members doing it. I feel like it's a whole group of people who just like to tag and they do it. Because I can't imagine you would tag a train just to claim a territory you don't live in or something. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, the idea of it's like tagging things and whatnot. I'm not a fan for me personally, but whatever. So yeah, the thing I don't understand is how come people don't put that much effort into the conflict of Israel versus Gaza? I don't really know how to say it or what it is. Into things like homelessness, housing, or whatever. I feel as though there's a lot of people who talk about those issues, and they talk about it ad nauseum. It's just kind of annoying, especially when they talk about, I guess, black issues. I don't know. Especially relating to, like, black violence against, or black violence perpetrated by police on black people. I think that's a great thing to talk about and to bring up, but I feel like it's kind of run its course with a lot of Americans. And I also feel like no one's really done that much or done a lot of effort to curb that sort of thing. And I just, and like, even in an issue that's not super duper serious, but still is serious, like housing for people, or like I just don't understand how there's so much effort in one area and calling attention to something, and then when it comes to other areas, there's just like I don't know. Like, can you imagine taking over a university because there is no, like, because insulin is like expensive, I guess. Of course, it probably is. Or because of, I don't know, the homelessness in whatever city you live in. I'm using homelessness because I live in Philadelphia currently, and so it's obviously a big issue for a lot of people. Yeah, I just feel like there would be a lot more effort put into, or a lot more changes would happen if the same amount of effort put into a conflict happening overseas was put into an effort, or a conflict effort thing happening here. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And I think it does. There's a little bit more than just like calling attention to it, or like it. I don't know, like this idea that like because a bunch of people in academia are talking about it, that like it's a good thing. I mean, that's great that you're talking about something, but it's also like you kind of just sit there with the theory and do nothing with it. And I'm probably part of the problem because currently I'm also sitting in a classroom talking about theory and doing nothing with it. And the excuse I will give you is because I have no idea what to do with it currently. The only thing I know that I know what you could do with it is run for political office and kind of do it that way. And I personally would start with the mayorship because it seems like that is the closest ground level thing that one could do to solve an issue. But yeah. God, what are the things I don't understand? I don't understand how people can't talk. I don't get how people can like sit there and be like, you can give them the choice to talk or not talk, and then they still will not talk or speak up for themselves. Maybe this is also a thing in like interrogations, but I just don't get it. I don't understand. It does not make sense to me. If someone gives you the ability to not do something and you do it anyway, and then you feel upset about it weeks down the line. I mean, you're allowed to, obviously. I just don't understand why you just wouldn't take the out to begin with. Or find different ways to, like, mediate the situation. And I'm not talking about instances of, like, violence or anything. I'm just talking about, like, simple, dumbass conversations. No. I had a whole nother thing. Oh man. I don't get how we talk about this shit about like like acknowledging history, race, and all this other fun stuff, but then no one ever wants to talk about their own experience with history, race, or whatever. And then they want to do things like, oh, just read about it or something. I don't want to read about it. I want to have a conversation about it. Now, that just might be a me thing. But I feel like reading about it can lead to a whole bunch of rabbit holes that cause the person you told to read about it to read the wrong thing, then have the wrong idea for like 20 some odd years. And then by then it's kind of too late because I already have the idea of whatever the fuck that is happening that is... You give a fucking point. Now, obviously, the person you asked to, like, talk about it doesn't have to talk about it. And that could also lead you in the wrong direction. But, personally, I feel like if you're in a position to where you can lead a horse to water, per se, I think you should take every opportunity to do that. And I admire people who do that. I guess in that realm, it would be kind of like this form or this idea of the talented 10th. Now, I've been stuck on this idea since I read about it in undergrad, and I've come to the conclusion that it is one of the best ways to educate people, especially if you're the one who is educated. What is it? So, I don't even think W.E.B. Du Bois came up with this idea. I think he got it from someone else, and then he applied it to his own theory. But essentially, you have 10 people, and 9 are uneducated. There we go. And the one that is educated is essentially to lead the other 9 people to the water, essentially. I think W.E.B. Du Bois talked about that in the form of, like, being a Harvard graduate and, like, leading 9 other people who aren't, like, necessarily uneducated, but don't have the ability to be educated the way he did. I think that's a fantastic thing to be able to do. And I think people should be able to do it. Or should do it. Or take up doing it. I don't think people should, like, sit there and cower when, like, they're given the opportunity to speak about how things are or why things the way they are. Why things are the way they are. Or why in this certain instance things are the way they are. and giving a perspective, an oral perspective that is not only not only a first person. What would you call that? I forgot what the term is, but there's like a reliable narrator. Maybe they'd be an unreliable narrator because it didn't happen to them, but they would have the ability of knowing the history because they are that ethnicity or whatever. Anywho, I don't know. That's just kind of where I come from about it. I don't get why Justin Bieber married Hailey Bieber. That's one thing. I watched a video today relating to how Hailey Bieber essentially stalked the kids since he was a teenager, because her dad is apparently a famous person and had the ability to like get her to be in places that he was at, and then essentially she worked her way up the social ladder, became friends with the Jenners, and then somehow, some way, waited long enough for Justin Bieber to be like, "Hey, let's get married" or whatever. Yeah, that's insane. That's inexplicably wild. It's not cute. It's wild, and it's actually somewhat of a. Actually, I don't know what it is. I just know it's fucking weird. But essentially, she got what she wanted. I'm assuming Justin Bieber also got what he wanted by marrying her, but I don't fucking know. And then to like copy everything that Selena Gomez does is even more wild. This sounds like a murder plot in the making, and I'm surprised. I really hope some Hollywood producer, writer, like actually takes elements of this story and applies it to an actual movie. And then has Selena Gomez star in it. That'd be funny. Alright. Other things I don't understand. Let's go. I don't get how people aren't like immediately born or like learn empathy in their jobs. Actually, I do understand it. So an example for me would be I go to the skin doctor, the dermatologist, once every like 2 months. And my dermatologist, who is great at his job, but only does his job. There is no like, how are you doing? How's life? What's going on? Granted, that's not what he signed up for, and he's probably wondering that's probably not what I signed up for either. And I'm now trying to sit here thinking about, would it make any difference if he asked me all those 20 and some odd questions? Probably not. He asks questions related to the thing I'm in there for, and I answer them, and then he goes, great, and then he gives me what I need, and then I leave. And it's always I don't mind the experience. I find it to be a fascinating experience that like there's just this like person in the world where like you talk to them and like they it's strictly business. Yeah, I don't know. That's just super interesting. And like being a doctor in general, I feel like you would have to have that sort of ability, and it's not like something that you would be trained in, but like you would just know how to do it because you have to talk with people about what the fuck is wrong with them. But I guess if you see so many patients in a day and they all have so many problems, you kind of want to get to bang each one out one by one, especially if you're going to be doing it from like 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. I don't know if the schedule for that would be right. But, speaking of which, I have to email my teacher. Yeah, that's interesting. That's super duper interesting. I think I have 2 doctors like that. But granted, the other doctor that's kind of like that has a point to be that way. But yeah. I don't get why people's facial expressions don't match their attitude. And I also don't get why people can't just well, I already talked about this earlier, say words. That just doesn't, I don't know, maybe that's just a me thing, but someone looking at you or having the facial expression of a straight-laced moron douchebag person, yeah, I don't, you just look, to me you look fucking, like, pissed off or whatever. It's fun. Yeah. I'm sure I have other things, but I really can't think of anything right now. I'm very enjoying the ability for my new camera to like catch my face and it be a good thing. I went to the soccer game today and I got some pretty good shots. I didn't get any goal shots because nobody scored a goal. Unfortunate. But, yeah. Fun. Oh, God. Anything else that I don't understand? I guess I don't understand why people drive when they're in a city with a public transportation thing. I understand, like, the idea of why they don't, because, like, safety and all this other shit. Oh, that's another thing. But, like, I feel like if more people took it, especially more rich people, because if the idea is that they protect rich people, or the police, that is, and if more rich people took these things, then essentially the rest of the country, or the people in the area, would be benefiting from rich people taking these things because they'd have to police it more often or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, the other thing... Oh, fuck. And I literally lost it. God damn it. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. Oh, my God. Oh, fuck. Let's see. I was talking about taking public transportation. Yeah, I fucking forgot. I guess the last thing is I don't understand how oh, wow. My brain is empty right now. I guess I'll just end on this. I don't get how there are so many problems still that were problems when I was a child, and that they still are a problem now. Obviously, some things have gotten better because they have, but I don't know. Maybe it's because of technology and how technology progresses, it allows things to get better. But seemingly, I just don't get how some things are just like the same. Like how does it all stay the same? What's happening? Who's doing it? I guess nobody's doing it because it's all the same. Yeah, I mean, is it actually just like I don't know. I just don't get also how people blame politicians for everything when it's like you put them there. So is it? I think it's your fault actually, not theirs. I would blame you. And in fact, if I were the politician, I'd stand up there and say, "Bitch, you put me up here. Whose fucking problem is that?" I also just don't get why politicians continually make promises. Promises, I think, are really dumb to make. Just in general, I think you should never make a promise at all as a politician because it never makes sense. It just never makes sense to do so. I don't think that you ever need to. I don't think anyone benefits from it. I think that you end up kind of like being like the Browns coach, or just Cleveland Browns in general. You get the job, you say you're going to do something, you can't do it because of all these other things. You don't tell anyone you can't do it because of all these other things. You just say, well, and then you pivot to doing something else. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of dumb. Kind of wild and dumb. Yeah. this is the last thing I'll really end on, is how, I guess by the definition of what life is, which I guess no one knows what it is, I would say gender is like money and it does not exist. Which also just doesn't make sense in general, because it's like, then how did, like, obviously I think people were just going based off of what genitalia was where, but like, then who, does that make sense? Like, how does it all become just like, oh, it's a thing that people made up, and then suddenly over billions of years it has become this, and now, yeah, I don't know, it does not compute. Same thing with money, does not compute. I think we should just go back to doing high fives and hugs, but that's just me. Anyway, I'm gonna go, because I have to email and actually do a fucking presentation. God, that's annoying. I shouldn't have committed to this fucking thing, but whatever. We're in it now. Hopefully I don't get in. So, we'll see. Have fun. Don't die. Good luck.